What's going on, guys? Welcome back to F123 for My Team Career Mode Season 2, Round number 5, the Canadian Grand Prix. It is the first race this season where we're actually back at a track that we raced at in Season 1 after 4 races so far that were new to F123 for us, and Canada is one of my favourite, if not my favourite track on the calendar. So we were looking at a pretty good race here in Season 1. We started on the front row with Charles Leclerc, P2, and we fell back a little bit in the race and then had a mechanical failure, so didn't finish the race unfortunately, but we had very good pace here and our car's even better than it was at this time last season. So yeah, I have high hopes for this race because it is just a track that I love driving around. This is how the R&D looks at the moment. Mercedes have actually now overtaken Aston Martin as the quickest car on paper, but then we're there in third, kind of in no man's land, because then you've got the big battle, the big midfield battle of Ferrari, Red Bull, Alpine, McLaren and Haas, all in that midfield battle, and then Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri are still kind of way down at the back. So yeah, it's going to be interesting with that midfield battle, especially because, you know, not all those guys can make it into Q3. There could even be some of them there will be a couple of them going out in Q1. So it is such a tight battle in that midfield, but we are thankfully just ahead of those guys. So we'll see where that puts us in this race. We of course had a win and a pole position last time in Imola, and we're in a bit of a championship battle already with Lewis Hamilton. As we go through Q2, we ended up P6, P7. Fernando Alonso goes quickest in Q1, so very good from him in the Aston Martin. It is both the AlphaTauris, both the Haas's, the Williams of Sargent and Zhou Guanyu in the Alfa Romeo that get knocked out in Q1. So the Haas is probably the biggest one there because, you know, they are there in that midfield battle, but they just don't have the experienced drivers. So you kind of expect if anyone's gonna, you know, not make it through to Q2, it's probably going to be the Haas guys. Q2 comes around. As you can see, we're quickest through sector 1. That seems to be our best sector. We're about a tenth and a half up every lap on the AI through sector 1. Sector 2, we're actually a little bit slower. We're about a tenth or so down on pretty much everyone else. And then through sector 3, we're pretty much there with everybody else. As Yuki Tsunoda, my teammate, goes quickest in Q2, we end up P5 there. Out in Q2, we've got Lance Stroll on the Aston Martin. Not really a surprise, but I mean, it is the second quickest car, so he shouldn't be getting knocked out. Sergio Perez, the other one, in P11. Not really a big surprise either, just because, you know, somebody from that, well, a lot of people from that kind of midfield, that midfield battle will not make it through to Q3. So Perez not making it through, it's not terrible for him considering where that Red Bull is. I think it is the 4th, maybe 5th quickest car on paper, but it is in that massive battle with, you know, 5-6 teams. So yeah, not really a surprise to see him out because somebody has got to come out here. Charles Leclerc has gotten through to Q3 for, I can't remember if he got through in Imola or not. I think he might have in Imola, but yeah, he's not had a good season in regards to qualifying, but he is through to Q3 this time. My Q3 lap here, and yeah, as you can see, kind of the same pattern going on. Quickest through sector 1, just green through sector 2, and then we come through sector 3, of course, a very quick part of the track, massive long back straight here, need good engine power. We of course have very good engine power, not quite the best on the grid anymore, but we're still right up there. I think we're like the 3rd best on the engine department now. As we cross the line, we go quickest at that point in time, and it is quickest overall, so we get back-to-back pole positions here. We had a pole in Imola, we now have a pole in Canada as well. We have George Russell is actually the car behind us, so not Hamilton in the Mercedes. He's down in P4 with signs in between the two Mercedes drivers. Leclerc P5, better qualifying from him, and Tsunoda's in P6, so good result from him as well. Let's see what the race has in store for us.
Here in Montreal, lights out is quickly approaching on this artificial island originally built for the World Fair in 1967. Now it's used for a World's Fair of a different kind, ever since Formula One first arrived here. We're back in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. We'll be seeing top speeds of around 210 miles per hour here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, with around 2/3 of the lap taken at full throttle. High-speed chicanes spell potential danger, especially the infamous Wall of Champions, and watch out for overtaking into the hairpin and that final chicane. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Davies lines up on pole position, and the smooth operator Carlos Sainz completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Leclerc, Tsunoda, Fernando Alonso, Verstappen, Norris, Gasly, Perez, Ocon, Russell, Stroll, Oscar Piastri, Albon, Bottas, Joe, Magnussen, Liam Lawson, Sargent, Doohan, and Nick de Vries. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. And with me today, of course, is Natalie Pinkham. Now, can I get your take on Max Verstappen? As ever, the threat of unreliability is never far away, and indeed they'll be starting out of position today due to power unit component changes. It's going to be a difficult task to move forward from there.
But on the bright side, at least those fresh components can help them maintain the power they need to come through the pack. I expect to see them take a much more aggressive approach today to make up for that compromised start.
Alright, so here we go to 5 red lights for the Canadian Grand Prix in Season 2, our first repeat track in this game. It is lights out and away we go. It's a good start from us. Sainz is just about there alongside us, but it looks like he might have already been overtaken by Hamilton, who has now gotten up into P2, so our main and at the moment really only championship rival. Now the car behind us, Russell, his teammate, had a grid penalty, so he was not starting on the front row with us, so that is a good start for his teammate. Up into P2 already, past the Ferrari driver. Tsunoda's hung on to P5, so that is very good for him. Looking for a good result for our teammate here today. The car has good pace. We've seen that with ourselves and with Tsunoda getting P1 in Q2. As we now head down to this next to chicane, Hamilton behind us. We're pretty much all starting on the medium tyres here, at least in the top 10. There's quite a few in the bottom 10, or bottom 12 I guess, starting on soft, and then I think it's the 2 Alfa Romeos on hard compound tyres at the start of the race, which is an interesting choice. But yeah, as we continue on, we still have the lead here, and a fairly comfortable lead. You know, we're using as much ERS as we can because the AI do tend to use quite a lot of ERS on the first lap or two, so we're just trying to also, you know, do that too to keep this lead over Hamilton. We've already actually got a little bit of a gap to the Ferraris behind us, so myself and Hamilton already pulling ahead a little bit here, as by lap 3 you can see we are really starting to make a gap now on the cars behind us. DRS is now enabled as well. We of course don't have it, but Hamilton does as we head into turn 1, and our ERS is stuck open for a second race in a row. You can see me cycling through kind of the telemetry stuff there, the radio options, and yeah, our ERS has been stuck open for this entire lap as we head round the hairpin here. Thankfully, just as we go into the, well, I don't know if it's thankfully or not, as we go into the back straight, now our ERS is working again, but we're now into single digits, so we don't have the battery to use down this straight, which means that Hamilton's going to catch right up to the back of us. But that is 2 races in a row where our overtake has been stuck on, which is very unfortunate. I don't know how that's happened twice in a row. We don't have the battery now, and Hamilton is just going to easily get past us into turn 1. We cannot fire that. We were down to single digits on ERS, so that one lap has really kind of screwed us over a little bit there. We're still here right on the back of Hamilton though a few laps later, and having a look around as we head through the chicane. He gets a bit of a wheel on the curb and is a little bit unsteady out of that corner. That senses an opportunity for me to go right up behind him with ERS. We're going to the outside of the next chicane, round the outside of Hamilton. Nice little overtake there. We go a little bit deep because of that though, which means that he's going to get the better run out of the corner, and he's going to have a look at us round the outside into the hairpin. He's there. We're on the inside. We're just going to try and keep the position right here. I'm not sure who is going to get the DRS. I think it might be Hamilton as we head side by side, almost side by side, down the back straight. He's just behind us, but yes, he does have the DRS, so he pulls alongside, and he, I believe, is going to get past us into the Wall of Champions chicane, and that's Hamilton back up into the lead once again, and he will get the double dose of DRS. We use a lot of battery and actually catch up to him and have a little look into turn 1, but it's not quite enough. Hamilton back in the lead of this race. The 2 Ferraris and the rest of the field have also caught up to us as well now. But lap number 9, I've heard over the radio that Hamilton has an issue, and we're going for a move back on for the lead again into the chicane. Nice little move, keeping it within the track limits, and we're back up into the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix. And yes, I have heard over the radio that Hamilton has a mechanical issue, so he is slowing down, and it doesn't take long for him to drop behind DRS, out of DRS from us. And now Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari is looking at a move on Hamilton, looking for a move there, doesn't make the move, and actually is now getting overtaken by his teammate of Charles Leclerc, who has now gotten past his teammate Carlos Sainz. So Sainz goes from looking at a position to losing a position, and he may even lose another position here, as now my teammate Yuki Tsunoda is having a look at Sainz round the outside. He doesn't quite have the move done as they go into the chicane, but he's right up behind the Spaniard as they now head down into turn 1. Tsunoda having a look here to the inside of turn 1 will try and make the move right now. They're going to be side by side through turn 2 as well. Tsunoda on the outside, Sainz on the inside. Heading around to the next corner, Sainz just doesn't have the speed and the traction, and my teammate Tsunoda is up now into P4. As Hamilton is just falling down the order, Leclerc now going for a move on the British driver. Hasn't got the move done yet, but they're now side by side coming down to the hairpin. My teammate's also looking in the background there as well. Sainz is under threat from Fernando Alonso in the Aston Martin. Leclerc's going to try and go round the outside of the hairpin, and he gets that move done. I think he's going to pick up DRS as well, so that is Leclerc now up into P2. Hamilton really struggling here with car problems, as there's a big battle going on behind. Tsunoda almost makes up 2 positions into the chicane there, gets past Sainz, who was having a look at Hamilton, almost gets Hamilton as well, but now Alonso's in the battle. Alonso's just got past Sainz. Sainz is really dropping down the order here, and is now side by side with my teammate Alonso here, doing some great stuff side by side with Tsunoda. I think Tsunoda's just about going to hang on though to that 4th position, but yeah, lots of battles going on behind us here, mainly because Hamilton is just backing up the pack so much here. He was a lot quicker than these guys. He would have been up here battling with me, but his mechanical issue is really costing him here, and he's falling down the order. Tsunoda now trying to go for the move for P3, and Tsunoda is past Hamilton and up into a podium position, so we now have both our cars in podium contention right now. And this is interesting. We haven't had our teammate on the podium at all in this entire career mode yet. So can Tsunoda be the first one to get our car, our second car, on the podium? We're kind of just cruising here, somewhat pulling away from Leclerc. He comes in a few laps later though, onto the hard compound tyres, but then we make a mistake. Bit too much power and a bit of tyre wear around that left-hander, and we've made connection, we've made contact with the wall. We have front wing damage. It's enough to flag up as a yellow colour on the display. We were coming in on the end of that lap anyway for a set of soft compound tyres, because that is, I decided to go medium to soft. I figured the tyre wear's not that bad here. We come into the pits, the team haven't changed the front wing. I was really confused here, because I was like, well, it's come up as yellow. I mean, you can see there, it's visibly yellow damage on the front wing, but the team hasn't, they don't think it's bad enough to change the front wing, so we're going to have to continue on this race with a broken front wing to try and take the lead. This is the damage. It's actually just a bit of a chunk taken out of the front left of the front wing, so it's not a whole lot of damage. Obviously the team didn't think that was worth changing, so we're just going to have to go to the end. There's going to be a lack of performance here, definitely, but hopefully not too drastic, and with the tyre advantage, maybe we can retake the lead, as Hamilton, his car's now come good once again, and he's just gone for a move on Oscar Piastri in the McLaren, so he is now going to try and make his way back up the order after that mechanical issue with a good car once again. He'll try and get back up into at least the top 5, I assume. We are closing down on Leclerc, even with that little bit of front wing damage. It is only a small amount, and we do have the tyre advantage. We are pretty much the only people that have gone from medium to soft. I think some of the soft compound runners went soft to medium, but all the medium compound runners from the start went onto the hard compound, which I just don't think was the way to go. And by lap, whatever this is, 23, 25 or something, we are now right on the back of Leclerc, and as we go into turn 1, we are, with DRS, going to make the move. He's still going to be there on the outside, and he's going to try and fight it into turn 1, but we're just going to cut him off and retake the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix. Took a little bit longer to catch Leclerc than I was hoping, but that was probably because of that bit of damage. Tsunoda's now gotten himself past Perez, who's actually having a decent race here. Didn't have a good qualifying, but has kind of the strategy has worked out for him, and he's actually fighting now up within the top 5. He's now been overtaken also by Lance Stroll, though, who's another one whose strategies really helped him out here. And now Checo is under fire from Lewis Hamilton, making his way back up the order after that mechanical issue. They're side by side through the chicane. Hamilton can't quite make a move on Checo this time around, but will get another opportunity later on, and that opportunity is going to come right now. Tsunoda leading this train with Stroll behind, and then Perez under fire from Hamilton. Hamilton goes up the inside into the chicane and gets that move for, I believe, P5 in this race. So yeah, Perez falling down the order a little bit here. Alonso now the car behind him going for a move as well. They're going to be side by side through turn 1 and turn 2. Checo on the outside there. Alonso fighting it on the inside. I don't think Alonso is quite going to have the pace on the traction to keep the position. Charles Leclerc currently sitting in P2. He was sitting in P2 in Imola, of course, but it's another issue. It's a mechanical failure for Charles Leclerc from P2, and 2 races in a row Leclerc will fall down the order. Well, I mean, no fault of his own this time around. He will fall from second place because of a mechanical failure. He of course fell from second place in Imola, but that was because he spun round. That now puts Tsunoda into P2. It is now a 1-2 for TGL Motorsport. That is insane. Stroll's up to P3 again, so Stroll could be on for back-to-back podiums here, which is just insane. I think this is Perez once again, still battling now with Fernando Alonso. He's falling down the order a little bit here. Perez just doesn't quite have the pace in that car, and Alonso now up into P5. So looking at a better race weekend for Aston Martin here. We come to, I believe, the end of the race here. We've kind of just stayed ahead, and we have a big gap now to Tsunoda, who is the car in second thanks to Leclerc's engine issue. We're going to come across the line to win the Canadian Grand Prix. It's back-to-back race victories for us. We're going to extend our lead in the championship. A little bit unfortunate because it wasn't the most exciting race. I think if Hamilton didn't have the issue, we would have had a great battle with him here. But in the end, we take the win. We'll always take that to win for us in Canada.
They take the checkered flag then here in Canada in what has been another fabulous Grand Prix. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, confidence breeds confidence. Success breeds success. They are very much enjoying a purple patch right now.
Here comes your top 3 making their way down to the podium for what can only be described as a fantastic day for Formula 1.
So we win the Canadian Grand Prix, and it's not only a 1-2 for our team for the first time, it is Tsunoda's first podium in Formula 1, and it's the first time one of our teammates has gotten a podium in F1 23. So that, I mean, maximum points for the team this weekend. I don't think we got fastest lap. That was the only thing that we didn't get. But pretty much maximum points for the team. What a result. Lance Stroll is on the podium again in third place. Back-to-back podiums for Stroll, which is pretty insane. And yeah, it was another one lost for Leclerc. Leclerc still to get a podium in Season 2, which is crazy for the defending champion. Hamilton ends up recovering back to P4, so it's a good recovery for Hamilton after that issue. Like I said, Leclerc dead last, only mechanical failure and only retirement of the race. So unfortunate for him, he's not having a great season. We extend our lead in the championship over Hamilton in second. Russell's now back up into third in the Mercedes, Gasly to fourth, and Tsunoda now jumps up to P8 with that P2 finish. Stroll also now in P7, so he's really jumped up with 2 third places in a row. So he's looking pretty good in that Aston Martin at the moment after a pretty terrible start to the season. And yeah, we are now level on points in the Constructors' Championship with Mercedes, but on countback for winning more races, we are now leading the Constructors' Championship, but it is literally level with Mercedes at the top, Aston Martin third, and Red Bull fourth. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.